My departure from Paris Saint-Germain sent shockwaves throughout the entire footballing world. This might be one of the biggest resignations of recent years, comparable to when Zinedine Zidane left Real Madrid in 2018 after winning 3 Champions Leagues in a row. Everyone kept asking themselves, what will be my next club? Now imagine the storm when I announced my next destination. Finland. Or actually, a small island by the name Åland with 30,000 people, where the official language is not even Finnish, it's Swedish. Welcome to IFK Mariehamn. They're a team punching well above their weight in the league recently, being in an active European or even the title fight. Though this is an exception rather than a rule in this save so far, Mariehamn are considered to be a yo-yo club. But at least, we've got some decent conditions to work with. The squad is decent, the facilities are good, even the staff was decent for the Finnish league standards, and the budget we have for new signings is $500,000. Great! Now it's time to set up our scouting network and scour the entire Brazil and Africa for all the wonder kids and just walk through the league and move somewhere else.
Chcemy len hráčov z Fínska.
Nerozumiem.
Maliście za ľahko w Paryži, takže byśmy chcieli, abyście podpisowali zmluvy len z hráčmi z Fínska. Nie chcemy tu żadnych cudzinцów.
A co z cudzinцami, których już mamy w drużstwie?
Nowych zmluv z nimi nie podpisujcie. Predajcie ich, jak będziecie mać możliwość.
I just wanted to win this league very quickly. But do we even have a chance now? The biggest team in the country, HJK Helsinki, is only 3 points behind. But they have 5 games in hand. This will be a hard challenge, and I have to make sure our new team is prepared. I set our boys in an almost no-nonsense 4-4-1-1 formation, mainly using our talented defense, such as Ossi Malinen and Arttu Ahonen, who will form our primary backline. Up front, we can count on our playmaker Pascal Maier or a pacey winger Olli Vartiainen. That team is on fire, confirmed by our first meeting, and we are ready for our first game against IFK Mariehamn. Our new tactic seems to work. Sending a long ball does create chances. This led to a clear-cut opportunity for Matias Kujala, who wasted it. The Gnistan players used their set-piece skills to score an only goal, and unfortunately, our debut ended in a loss. Turns out it wasn't just an upset from a relegation-threatened team. It was the beginning of a bad series. We barely scraped draws against FC Lahti and Seinäjoki and lost to Inter Turku. This forced us to add a little bit more nonsense to our tactic. And against HJK, it worked. For about 18 minutes. Iro Makiharyu, who will join us for the new season, scored the brace against us. We thought this double meant a loss, but 76 minutes in, we got a penalty, which our target forward, Ville Kosunen, converted, winning us a massive draw. But if you think this draw will lift up our spirits, we lost to relegation-threatened KuB Skopje, and we went from outside title chances to barely trying to get Europe, especially with HJK Helsinki coming up twice. If we want to have any chance of turning this fate around, we need you to subscribe. It's very simple, just a click of a button and it's done. And I guess it worked. We scored 20 seconds in. We then even doubled the lead, but unfortunately Helsinki made a comeback. This match ended in a draw, just like the reverse fixture at home, where we again took the lead. And again, Helsinki players came back, this time from 1 goal deficit only. These draws were not going to be helpful for HJK, who are in a title fight, and it wasn't any better for our own European battle. What was the main theme of our matches was the sheer amount of penalties. 3 of 4 goals scored in a 2-2 draw against FF Jaro were scored from spot kicks. And a banger from Robin Johansson. It took us 10 games to finally win, in a 5-3 thriller against AC Oulu, which started a series of victories. Out of the last 5, we won 4 matches. The only drop was a draw against title contender Seinäjoki, and with 13 points out of 15, we easily qualified to the championship playoff on 3rd, but the title would be a miracle at this point. And with the championship playoff coming up, it's time to explain how the league works in Finland. It's kind of similar to Scotland. Every team plays each other 3 times in a regular season. The top 6 qualify to the championship playoff, where those 6 teams play each other once more. From our perspective, it was a chance to confirm our slot in Europe, which we almost did against Tampere and Ilves, with a 4-all draw. And yes, they had 2 penalties. Now stop asking. The only win in the Champions playoff we had was against Oulu, but that was still enough to finish the league on a comfortable 3rd place. I say, if we did not have a disaster of a record at the start of our tenure, I'm saying we could win the league. But where is our European slot? I heard the 3rd team gets Conference League football. Is the Bulgarian situation repeating all over again? No, we just had to wait for the season review. And it's great news. Not only will we be charging for the title next season, but we might add a great European campaign to this. But to do so, we need to prepare our squad for the challenge, and offload it quite a little. Iro Makihairu confirmed his transfer. And we also got a very decent youth intake, with Altin Shehi and Tobias Hyvati being its biggest stars. We also let go some of the fringe players and foreigners, as per the Finnish players only rule. On defensive midfield entered Tommy Collin, whose free transfer was already agreed before I stepped in. We also brought in a winger Jere Pennanen from HJK and Alex Johansson, a goalkeeper, from Seinäjoki. Our squad, this time in a 4-4, was prepared for the season opener against the champions, HJK Helsinki, and we proved we can fight for the title this year. We comfortably won 2-0, leaving no chance for the team from the capital. If only we could carry that form for the rest of the season. And I mean it. Out of the first 9 games, we only won 2 more. This made us stuck in the mid-table. We also got knocked out of the League Cup as 2nd in the group. At least, we demolished Helsinki 6-0 in the process, with their former striker Makihairu scoring 4 times. We also got to play in the Finnish Cup, where we went past some reserve teams to go into the semi-final against Seinäjoki, which we lost 2-1, and we missed out on yet another trophy this season. But there is still one more competition we're playing in. Yes, we're talking about the Conference League, before which we confirmed the departure of the last foreigner, Adriano, and Christian Johansson, who went to Ukraine. I made our backline even stronger, with the arrival of Akseli Lunder at right back and the loan of Clevis Mehmeti at centre back, both from HJK Helsinki. Our first opponents in the Conference League were UNA Strassen from Luxembourg. We dealt with them quite comfortably, winning 4-0 in the first leg. If only we could claim another win in the second leg, that would be perfect. This is something we did against Struga from Macedonia though. 3-2 at home and 1-0 away were more than enough to advance to the 3rd round. This is where we played by far the strongest opposition to date, Dynamo Kiev from Ukraine. In the first leg at home, we genuinely looked promising. Okay, we lost a goal early on, but it was the only one, and we were creating chances of our own. We even equalized the aggregate early on in the second leg, which would give the extra time. I just hope we will be able to keep it, because that would be a great underdog story. Yes, we got demolished. At least we scored 1 more consolation goal, but even with it, we stood no chance and were knocked out of Europe by a fair margin. The focus is on the league, in which we have a couple of games in hand, but we did not really use them. Okay, we started winning a bit more, but losses against Seinäjoki, who are running away from the competition, or HJK Helsinki, are not helping at all. We're as low as 10th in the standings. At least we have a bunch of games to play, with a crazy congestion of course. We're going to play every 2 or 3 days in September and October, and so it was time to go on the charge. In September, we only lost 1 of the 8 games, and won 5 of them. One of the men who is carrying us on the way is Ville Kosunen. Our target forward scored 7 goals this month, which lifted us up to a European qualifying slot. But October was going to be even better. Sure, there was a draw against Seinäjoki, but I truly believe we could fight for the title. We just did not lose, and with Seinäjoki dropping a couple of points, as well as HJK going on a whole losing streak, we truly could win it. A draw against FF Jaro to end the regular season did not help though. We were 8 points behind with 5 games to go, which is a very outside chance of clinching the title. At least, the top 3 was nearly guaranteed. Tobias Hyvati's lone goal against Ekenas helped us keep up the pace, but Seinäjoki also got their win against HJK, We also jumped into second, but with very little chance of winning the league, especially after Tampere and Ilves defeating us 2-0 and Seinäjoki themselves getting a draw against us. After this game, it was sure we will not win the league, just like HJK. The title, this time, would go to Seinäjoki. We still had a chance to at least finish second, with our penultimate opponents being HJK. But we lost this game for free, so even that did not happen. We finished this season on third. Again, this feels like a disappointment. And yet again, it's down to the losses of form. Last season, it was a mid-season slump, right after we joined. This season, it was a start of the season slump. That cost us the title. At least, we have established ourselves as a third force in the league, and it's a good platform to build from. The title is something the board wants us to challenge for already in this season, and I think that's possible. Also, wait, did I just skip something? My brilliant math skills told me this is a guaranteed Seinäjoki title, without realizing HJK has a game in hand. And in the 1 in a million scenario, HJK actually stole the title on goal difference. What a generational bottle from Seinäjoki it is. And when I say generational, I mean generational. And what about us? Well, preparations went as normal. We got ourselves 2 new HJK players, a permanent contract with Clevis Mehmeti and a central midfielder, Viktor Kainulainen. And from Seinäjoki, we brought in a centre back, Tommy Beckman. We also had a youth intake, with Sabuhi Mehmedov being its biggest star. We also let go some players that didn't play much anyway, and those young Finns who joined are exactly the players we needed to start the season with a bang. Our first opponents this season were Ekenes, and we comfortably won 4-0 away from home. This then turned out to be a fantastic start to the season. We started it with 5 wins and a draw, taking an early lead in the league. We also went on to take charge of the League Cup, qualifying to its final with 1 game in hand, in which we played HJK Helsinki. The game went according to plan pretty quickly, with Viktor Kainulainen opening up the scoring in the 8th minute. However, we then had a highlight straight from the kickoff, which Helsinki used to equalize. After this quick exchange of hits, the game went to the snooze fest mode. Pretty much no action in the rest of the match led to extra time, and no action in the extra time itself led to penalties, in which Alex Johansson showed up. He didn't just show up, he stole the show, saving 3 penalties. Our penalty takers did not disappoint as well, and we lifted our first ever trophy in Finland. 2 more to go, hopefully. But we had to pay the price for this trophy, because in the league, we suddenly started to slip up. KuB Skopje, their centre back scored the brace. Vasan Paolo Seura, another 1-0 loss. And rock bottom Inter Turku, they scored the winner in the 88th minute. We lost the lead of the standings, with Ekenes being on fire and taking it from us. They're also our next opponent in game week 11, so it's time to call a team meeting, which ended with a positive reaction. The board also decided to take action, and they called a recruitment meeting. And they want me to sign a right back, even though we already have a decent one and we have 0 transfer money. Those were some mixed news ahead of our next match. But before we kick off, huge news came around in Finnish football. If you call our 3 losses a crisis, then talk about HJK and Seinäjoki. They both are barely in the fight for the championship group. Seinäjoki's coach, Rasmus Schuller, decided to escape and agreed on joining Isters in Sweden. I would apply, but at this point I am semi-confident we can finally clinch the Champions of Finland trophy from a tiny island that mainly speaks Swedish. So, it's time to show it. The start against Ekenes was brilliant, but our actions after it? Not really. At least, we got our act together and scored at the end of the first half, and then confirmed our victory in the second. Things also weren't going great against Ilves, but we were saved by Axeli Lunder's 94th minute screamer that gave us a win. We then won against Gnistan and Seinäjoki, but HJK was too prolific for us. We still were back in the lead. We may not have a huge advantage, but we've got those games in hand. And the reason for that was... This time, we're starting from the second qualifying round, Our first opponents were FC Vaduz from Liechtenstein, though they play in the Swiss league, because Liechtenstein doesn't have one. Lack of their own league probably showed. We comfortably won 3-0 at home, and our rotated side held a 1-0 draw away. We got promoted to the third round, where our reward was a game against Fastav Zlin from Czechia. They built themselves up to become one of the top Czech teams, winning 2 titles in this save so far. They also have a new stadium, named after their chairman from America. The side from Czechia was the slight favorite, but our desire to make an upset came out on top at the start of the second half, when Suloketola scored from a header. This woke up the team from Zlin, who equalized in the 70th minute. This was a sign for them to push on, and we had to put on the extra effort to at least secure that draw. But in the 18th minute, everything finally came together. Our young right back Altin Shehi scored a screamer to win us the first match. This was a fantastic victory, and we knew that we could convert it into an aggregate win. It was harder in Zlin than we wanted it to be though. Seni Kumbasa scored an equalizer to the near post. Fastav couldn't get many more chances, and instead, their centre-back Vit Adamec was sent off with a straight red. And in the 90th minute, we had a corner. We passed the ball in front of the box, and Suloketola's curling effort found the net to win us the tie. Our final hurdle before a potential league stage, Vålerenga from Norway. In the first match, we exchanged a couple of chances in the first half, but none came to fruition until the end of the first half, when Vålerenga scored. And if you're wondering why I'm happy about it, it's because they scored into their own net. The later it was though, the Norwegians created more and more opportunities, and they had to convert one of them. Thankfully, it was just this one. They wasted many more chances, which let the match end with a respectable draw. But after this match, disaster struck. Our top scorer, Suloketola, got a heavy hip injury. We already had Tommy Collin breaking his leg for half a year, but Sulo being put into the sidelines made our charge even more problematic. We didn't want to let this catastrophic news turn against us, but it happened. Vålerenga went on to absolutely thrash us, scoring not just 1, not just 2, not even 3 or 4 goals. They went on to give us a footballing lesson, scoring 5 times. We only could respond once, and you probably know this was nowhere near enough. Despite a quite good XG of 2.44, we were knocked out of Europe regardless, because XG doesn't count when it matters. We could have had 3 different Finnish teams in the Conference League stage this year, but Seinäjoki were knocked out by Panevežės from Latvia in the third round, and in the fourth round, HJK lost their chance in the 94th minute against the Polish team Śląsk Wrocław, and our European adventure led to even more disasters in the league. Ilves, Ekenes and Oulu were all losses. We cannot keep doing this if we want to finally win that Finnish league title. And we're in a fantastic situation with a bunch of games in hand. So imagine my massive sigh of relief when we actually went on to demolish FC Lahti. All despite a missed penalty from Ville Kosunen. That single win started a fantastic streak. We caught up to other teams. We used our games in hand to steamroll through September. This let us come back to the top of the Finnish league, and we're in a great position to finally win that league title from a tiny island. We finally started winning, but could we do the same in the cup? This time, we avoided the harder opposition. We went past some reserve teams, Ilves and AC Oulu, to go to the final against FC Haka from the second tier. Both HJK and Seinäjoki lost out in the early rounds. Shehi, but he loses possession unfortunately, though there's a huge mess. Memedov loses possession, tries to fight back, Johansson long shot! And he's being fouled by Pedraza. But this pass was terrible. And we lose possession. Thankfully, we will be down to 10 men as well. And it looks like it will be the extra time. Advances forward, makes a powerful shot. We're trying to clear the ball, but it's not a successful attempt. And they score! Kujala gets past the defender, makes a pass to Mekihairu. Kainulainen hits the crossbar, rebound goes over. One more highlight though, 20 seconds left on the clock. Johansson is there, and he makes a header, hits crossbar yet again. We lost to a team from the second division in the cup final. That Johansson's header, that would have been poetic. That would have been absolute poetry. Turns out a domestic double will be the best we can do. But we have to lock in to win that league. And we are definitely on the right way, with 2 more wins, over Yaro and Sei Naoki. But we got a draw against HJK, then we got another draw against HJK, then we got yet another draw against Vasan. Sei Naoki and Lahti both finished with draws. Yes, we drew 5 games in a row, which was still more than enough to keep the lead. But if we keep drawing, we will not take that title. So I had to call a team meeting, and I told our boys what's on the line. Their reaction was mid, but I did not care about it. I just wanted to finally get this title, and our first game on the way in the championship playoff was against Sei Naoki. However, it wasn't the same Sei Naoki who challenged Helsinki for the title, and Matias Kujala made use of that. We did not keep a clean sheet, but it didn't really matter when Viktor Heinulainen hit the far post strike and Ville Kosunen finished the job with a tap-in. All despite Tobias Hyveti demolishing one of Sei Naoki's players. Ekenes also won against Vasan and kept the 2-point gap. And then came Helsinki. On the left, can make a cross, passes back to Heinulainen, which will make a cross to Pettersson, but Kosunen, we couldn't convert the very few chances we had against them, leading to a goalless draw. Ekenes won against Sei Naoki and got level on points with us. But guess who is our next opponent? Yes, Ekenes themselves. A title decider with 3 games to go. Finds Vartiainen on the left. Vartiainen makes a cross to Meki Harju. Passes back to Johansson, top bins. Vartiainen waits for a moment to make a cross. He does make a cross to Kosunen from the crossbar. Does not get to that ball, but Montes does. And that is worrying. Sent one by the keeper, Vartiainen. To Meki Harju. 3-1 as I wanted. On the right side of the pitch, Johansson sends a beautiful one to Kujala. And Kosunen in this chaos finds a space to just finish it. The cross is being cleared, but it goes back to Vartiainen. Memedov makes a rebound. On the south of Turku and Helsinki. Now loses the 6th goal. It's not over yet, but a major step has been done. That win set the momentum for the final 2 matches. Ekenes did not keep up the pace after the demolition, only getting a narrow win against Gnistan and a draw against HJK. And you know what that means, with our victories over Vasan and Gnistan. With a 2-year delay, we have finally finished our mission in Finland and won the Finnish league title from a tiny island that doesn't even speak Finnish. And we did it with only Finnish players in the squad. We proved that national power can also get you far. But staying in Finland is pointless now. We won our 7th league in the Ultimate Glory Hunter Challenge, and it's time to go somewhere else. And this is where I left that decision to you. And you have decided we're going to... I played this game quite a lot during this challenge. And though Football Manager is great, it still needs improvements. What could be added in its future editions? Check out the video that's on your screen right now.